When considering a move to Spring Hill, Florida, there's a lot to love. You have nature, affordability, overall slower pace of life, but it's not perfect. So in this video, we're going to discuss the pros and cons of moving to Spring Hill, Florida. As always, any questions, you can reach out in the description below. You can also find my Hernando County moving guide there. It's completely free and gives you all the information you need to know before moving to Spring Hill, Florida. Let's jump right in. All right, let's start with the negatives here. Con number one is increased traffic. Now, this isn't a problem that I've heard from like people that have actually relocated here or people that I've helped buy homes here. It's more so from the locals that they have an issue with all the people moving here, all the recent migration that we've seen, the increased traffic, the development, the apartments, the car washes. If you just join like a Hernando County Facebook page, you'll see all the locals that have issues with the constant development of Spring Hill. And that's really just something you can't avoid. You're not going to be bumper to bumper for 45 minutes. You just have to be conscious of where you're going and at what time. Obviously, if you're leaving your house at 3 o'clock and going past the school zone, you're going to be running into traffic. It's really nothing compared to even areas just south of us, like Wesley Chapel or Odessa. It's definitely nothing compared to Tampa. And most people, if not all the people that have moved here and used me as their realtor, they have not complained about the traffic because where they came from is probably the same or a lot worse. So it's definitely more of a locals have a problem with it type of thing. But there has been an uptick, and I thought it was worth mentioning. Moving on to con number two, and that is limited entertainment, specifically when it comes to nightlife. If you've watched my other videos, you know I've probably mentioned this 3 or 4 times now, but it still stands and it's applicable to this video. Nightlife in Spring Hill is lacking, but there has been some improvements, specifically around higher end dining. I mentioned in the other videos, but we have Prime 88, which is a high-end steakhouse,
Chop Block Grill,
Nouvelle Cuisine, and we're constantly seeing new developments of specifically chain restaurants. I mean, along Cortez Boulevard and Commercial Way, we have Chili's, Longhorn, Bonefish, Texas Roadhouse, Outback, First Watch, a new Olive Garden. The list goes on and on. So you're not going to have a lack of dining options. It's more so just what type you're looking for. You still have mom and pop shops like Rookie's Family Grill or Drew's American Grill, Susie's Grill, Jam's Cafe. Again, the list goes on. There's plenty of options. It's more so just when comparing it to Tampa, specifically on the higher end of things, you're going to have limited options. So on special occasions, you might want to drive a little bit south to State Road 54 in Wesley Chapel or Odessa and get dinner there. If you are, kind of exhausted your options here in Spring Hill, because there are still options, like I mentioned. Yeah, just comparing it to Tampa, you're not going to have an expansive list of bars or clubs or anything like that. But that's really not what people move to Spring Hill for. People move to Spring Hill to retire affordably and be close to the water, or they live here to start a family. When you start a family, you're usually not going out every weekend. It's still a 45-minute drive or an hour drive, depending on where you're going to go out for the night. Maybe even less. I mean, now that you have places like Wesley Chapel developing more, you can take a 35-minute drive to a Dave and Buster's or something along those lines. So Spring Hill in general does lack entertainment, specifically nightlife, but there has been improvements, especially to dining. Number three is distance from major cities and beaches. This one's a bit of a toss-up depending on your lifestyle. If you're somebody that wants to live on the beach or be a beach bum, Spring Hill's probably not the best option for you, considering we're probably 45 minutes to an hour from the major beaches. Now, we do have beaches in Spring Hill or near Spring Hill, and I have a video on that I'll link in the description below. But when it comes to the major beaches that you're thinking of when I say beaches in Florida, you're probably not a great fit for Spring Hill if you want to be there every week. It might get a little bit tiresome to drive there and make the day trip, every weekend, but it really just depends, again, on your lifestyle. If you're somebody that needs to commute to work in Tampa every day, Spring Hill also might not be the best option. It might be one of your only options because of the affordability factor in Tampa, but overall, If you can afford to live in Tampa and you work in Tampa, you probably should live closer to Tampa. It really just depends on what you're used to. If you are used to driving 45 minutes to work, then it probably won't be an issue. But if you're used to being closer to work, then you're probably not going to want to live in Spring Hill if you work in Tampa. So really all relative, but there is obviously pros to this as well. We're only an hour 45 minutes from Orlando and the major theme parks. We are only an hour in some people's eyes from the beaches. For someone like me who only goes pretty much, I don't know, twice a year, I probably am okay with being, an hour from some of the major beaches. I see it as a pro. And really the only reason I go into Tampa is for Lightning games. So I'm okay with the distance from Tampa. I do wish there was a little bit more entertainment and we were a little bit closer, but um, over time, development's going to continue and those things will improve. Okay, so on the flip side, Spring Hill is packed with outdoor options, which brings us to our first pro, which is proximity to nature. If you want that Florida feel without driving to a major beach, Spring Hill has options like Buccaneer Bay, the Weeki Wachee River, Rogers Park, Pine Island, which is a 3-acre peninsula on the Gulf. We have Sunwest, which is a man-made lagoon about 20 minutes away. And my personal favorite, we have Hernando Beach, where you can take your boat out to the flats. It's a sandbar off of marker 21. It's probably about 15 minutes from the dock or from the boat ramp. And they have vendors out there that serve food and alcohol. It's really a great time. You could bring your jet skis out there, and during very low tide, you can actually walk to the island. It's at the very lowest, probably close to knee high, and then at the very high tide, probably 5 or 6 feet. So it's a great time, and it's my favorite thing about living here in Hernando County when it comes to wanting that Florida lifestyle. Plus, you have kayaking on the Weeki Wachee River. Crystal River is about 45 minutes north, and you have tons of hiking trails in Hernando County as well. Pro number 2 is affordability. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Spring Hill might be the best value on the west coast of Florida. Where else can you get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,000 square feet, potentially on a half acre for $350,000 to $450,000? In Tampa, that property would be $700,000 easily. And even in areas north of Tampa, you're still looking at $600,000 to $700,000 for for land and a larger home. And then throw in a pool, and you're climbing even higher. In Spring Hill, the average purchase price is around $330,000 for your standard home. Obviously, we do have higher end options that go up to the 600,000 to 700,000. But when it comes to your standard home, you can get a pool home for $300,000. Just depends how big, how big of the lot. But overall, Spring Hill is probably the best value you'll find on the East Coast when it comes to proximity to some of the things I've mentioned, like Hernando Beach, boating, rivers, a decent proximity to Tampa, and some of the major theme parks in Orlando, beaches. When you factor all that in and the price, it makes a lot more sense when comparing it to areas of Tampa. And I think with the huge price hikes that we've seen in Tampa, people are still moving to Spring Hill in waves. So really just depends on your lifestyle and what you're looking for, what you can afford. But Spring Hill is probably one of the best deals on the east coast of Florida, if not the best. This brings me to my third pro, which is the growth and development of Spring Hill, both amenities and new construction homes. Whether you want a new construction home in an HOA community or a new construction home outside of an HOA community, you have options. I actually have all the options in my Hernando County moving guide, which you can find in the description below. Metro Lagoons is even building a lagoon community called Sandal Key. They already started construction, and home sales should start by the end of this year with move-in dates in 2026. On top of that, we're constantly getting new businesses like BJ's Wholesale, Sprouts Market, Rooms to Go, Panda Express, Olive Garden, and that's all just within the last year. Considering all this, if you ask me, I think we're becoming more and more like Wesley Chapel, which has seen a huge appreciation in home values over the past 5 to 10 years. If you just go back and look at that, you'll see what I mean. Obviously, a lot of Florida has seen appreciation, but when it comes to those areas like Wesley Chapel and Odessa, there's been a lot of development over the past 10 years. There used to be just a lot of vacant land, similar to Spring Hill and Wiki Wachi. Now it's constantly being developed, and we've seen appreciation already. Obviously, real estate is cyclical and there will be ups and downs, but in the long term, I think Spring Hill is still a great buy considering the trend that we've seen of development continuing to climb more and more north. And not everybody's thrilled about all the growth, but that just shows you that it's inevitable. No matter what the locals want, people that have been here forever, it's still going to happen. There's still people moving here because of that affordability factor. And in order to keep them here and keep them happy, there's going to be more development. We have to accommodate the huge influx of people that have moved to the area over the past 5 years. And I really think we're just scratching the surface on the potential of Spring Hill. So while the locals might not like all the development and the growth, if you're coming from out of the area, I think you'll see it as a huge plus. Well, that wraps up this video. As always, if you have any questions, you can reach out using the contact information in the description below. And also, feel free to grab a copy of the Hernando County Moving Guide. It's completely free and has all the information you need to know about Spring Hill and Hernando County before making the decision to move here. As always, I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in the next one.